So couple of people. First of all, the head of the UN, Gutierrez, and one of the anchors or commentators on CNN made some onerous statements yesterday. I want to talk to them about. I want and let me get my screen share business up here. And I need to get rid of this real quick. All right. First of all, the CNN commentator on the Jerusalem Post, CNN commentator says, "Free Palestine from the river." Now, CNN political commentator and Temple University professor Marc Lamont Hill condemned Israel in a speech at the United Nations on Wednesday, saying that he thinks that there needs to be a free Palestine from river to the sea. Hill accused Israel of denying citizenship rights and due process to Palestinians because they were not Jewish, and expressed his support for the BDS movement. Hill stressed that although peace is an ideal, we must not romanticize or fetish it. We must promote nonviolence at every opportunity, but cannot endorse narrow politics that shames Palestinians for resisting or refuse. In other words, what he's doing is he's accusing Israel of ethnic cleansing, which the Arabs have more acreage than as a people than most nationalities in the world do. So he does not make that distinction. Now, the UN, here we go with this Gutierrez fellow. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez. This was reported this morning. Israelis, Palestinians must reaffirm two states based upon 67 lines. A representative of the Arab League called on the UN member states to recognize Palestine as a state. Israel and Palestinian leaders must recognize a two-state solution on the Israelis based on the pre-1967 lines, with the East Jerusalem as its capital, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez said on Wednesday. I call on all actors, and first and foremost, the leadership of Israel and the Palestinian Authority, to take bold steps and restore faith in the promise of Resolution 181 of two states living side by side in peace and security, fulfilling the legitimate national aspirations of both peoples, with borders based on the 1967 line and the Jerusalem as capital of both states, East Jerusalem being capital of Palestinian state. Now, East Jerusalem is the city of David. That is the location where the kingdom is going to be located. The kingdom of the Son of David, the kingdom of heaven. That's where it's going to be located. So, let me see here. Get out of screen share once again. And what I want to do is read from something that I posted this morning. So this is my monologue for this particular video. Thy kingdom come. Have you ever heard that phrase? Yehoshua, the Messiah of Israel, said that all prayer should include or should contain that phrase. What does it mean? Very simple. It requires the Zionist kingdom in Jerusalem to be from the river Euphrates to the ends of the earth. Okay. Or it's even written that way in the Christian Standard Bible. Look, Psalm 72, verse 8. May he rule from sea to sea and from the Euphrates to the ends of the earth. Now, before you parrot your false preacher by claiming the words of the prophets are already fulfilled, for your information, David was a prophet, How are you going to explain Revelation 10, verse 7? This verse plainly states that the words of Jehovah spoken to the prophets, including David, will not be finished until the seventh trumpet sounds. What? That's not what your preacher told you, is it? Revelation 22, verse 19 contains a curse. His portion will be removed from the book of life on anyone who removed any of the words in the book of Revelation. Every soul who claims the words of the prophets are already fulfilled have run afoul of both Revelation 10 and verse 7 and Revelation 22 and verse 19. Oops. All of Christianity has run afoul of Revelation 22 verse 19 because one of the basic tenets of mainstream Christianity is that Moses and the prophets are already fulfilled. The truth according to Revelation 10 and verse 7 is that Moses, Deuteronomy 30, read it, and the prophets will not be fulfilled until the seventh trumpet is blown. Read it! Read Revelation 10 and verse 7. I dare you. When Yehoshua, not Jesus, returns, he will come to take all the land written in Yehoshua 1 verses 1 through 4 and Psalm 72 verse 8, and he will take it by force. That is the definition of thy kingdom come. Anyone who tries to stop him, please read Revelation 22 and verse 19 again. Now, maybe we should go to Revelation 22 and verse 19 and 10 and verse 7, shall we? Ooh, let's do this. I'm going to put it in front of you so that there are no excuses to be had. Now, who wrote this? And we'll go to the Christian Standard Bible, you Christians. Now, it says a prayer for King Solomon. But was it a prayer for King Solomon? It indeed was a prayer for the son of David. Now, who is more worthy? For Psalm 72, is it King Solomon? Or is it Yehoshua, son of David? Who's more worthy? Does any of you have an answer? Let's read it. Jehovah, give your justice to the king and your righteousness to the king's son. He will judge your people with righteousness and your afflicted ones with justice. May the mountains bring well-being to the people and the hills righteousness. May he vindicate the afflicted among the people and help the poor. And may he crush the oppressor. May they fear you while the sun endures and as long as the moon throughout the generations. May the king be like rain that falls on the cut grass, like spring showers that waters the earth. May the righteous flourish in his days and the well-being abound until the moon no longer exists. Oh. So this wasn't just about Solomon, was it? May he rule from sea to sea. That would be from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Go look at it. And from the Euphrates to the ends of the earth. May desert tribes bow down before him, and may his enemies lick the dust. May the kings of Spain and the Atlantic and the coastlands and islands of the Mediterranean Sea bring tribute. Tribute. You know, the 10 kings of Europe are going to have to empty their treasuries and bring him tribute. Yes, they will. And the kings of Sheba, Saudi Arabia, and Seba, that would be the Yemenis, Eritreans, whatever, offer gifts. Let all kings bow down to him, and all the goyim serve him. For he will rescue the poor who cry out, and the afflicted who have no helper. He will have pity on the poor and helpless, and save the lives of the poor. He will redeem them from oppression and violence, for their lives are precious in his sight. May he live long. May the gold of Sheba, yes, Saudi Arabians are rich with gold today. May all that gold be given to him, and it will. May prayer be offered for him continually, and may he be blessed all day long. May there be plenty of grain in the land. May it wave on the tops of the mountains. May its crops be like Lebanon. May people flourish in the cities like the grass of the field. May his name endure forever. As long as the sun shines, may his fame increase. May all nations be blessed by him and call him blessed. Okay, folks, are you going to say that that's fulfilled? Are you going to say, oh, that's just about Solomon? Really? You want to go there? Blessed be Jehovah Elohim, the Elohim of Israel, who alone by himself does wonders. Blessed be his glorious name forever. The whole earth shall be filled with his glory. All right? Revelation 10. I have gone over and over again, Ezekiel 38, Ezekiel 39, Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34. All the things that are yet to happen to Israel after the time of the Gentiles comes to an end, as written by Paul in Romans 11, verses 25 through 27, and other passages in the words of the apostles. So Revelation 10 and verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Jehovah should be finished, as he declared to his servants, the prophets. So what he's saying is that the words that he declared to his servants, the prophets, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Hosea, David, Daniel, are not going to be finished until the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound his trumpet. But your preacher has never read this to you, has he? No. You know why? Because it doesn't fit the false narrative of mainstream Christianity today, which is why mainstream Christianity will come to fight against the real Messiah and declare him as the Antichrist. However, Revelation 22 and verse 18. For I testify unto every man that hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, Jehovah shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. What plagues? What plagues is he talking about? The 7 last plagues. That one. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Jehovah shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. Well, I'm here to testify you today that indeed mainstream Christianity has done this, has violated both warnings of John. They replaced the name of the Messiah with Jesus or Jesus or Jesus. They added words that John did not write. And they are going to feel the 7 last plagues for doing it. And if any man take away of the words of the prophecy, of this prophecy, if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, and you want to say that the words of Moses and the prophets are finished already, when it is plainly written, in Revelation 10 and verse 7, that they won't be fulfilled, they won't be finished until when the 7th angel begins to sound his trumpet. And that word fulfill, it means to overturn. In other words, let's go look at it, because I do not want to in any way, shape, or form diminish the words that John wrote. But in the days of the voice, the sound of the 7th angel, when to be about to sound a trumpet, the mystery, secret doctrine of Jehovah, not God, should be come to an end, complete, fulfill. But let's look at the word teleo for a second here. All right. Let's come down here a little bit. Rolling over to the next level, to the next phase of consummation. Oh, what is that? I'll tell you what it is. That's when the time of the Gentiles come to an end, and the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom in Jerusalem, when all Israel shall be saved and gathered from the 4 winds of heaven to Jerusalem. So that is the marker, the rolling over, the ending of one and the new beginning of the other, the ending of the kingdoms of this world and the beginning of the kingdom in Jerusalem. And for those of you who want to claim that the kingdom remains forever in heaven, you think you're going to go to heaven while the world burns? Revelation 21 and verse 2. And I, John, saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. What is he talking about? The Mediterranean Sea. Why? Why is this? What's going on here? And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, come down. It means to come down to earth in its rightful place, in the city of David, centered in East Jerusalem. That very East Jerusalem that Christian nations are trying to give to the Philistines, to the Edomites. And it is no wonder. It is no wonder that the Jews in Israel are calling the Europeans Edom, Esau. It's no wonder, because they have followed the path of Esau, who for one bowl of soup sold his birthright. Out of heaven, prepared as a bride for her husband, adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, or look at the tabernacle of Jehovah is with men on the earth. And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And Jehovah himself, our Father in heaven, will be with them and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat on the throne, who's the one that sits on the throne? Jehovah the Father. Jehovah the Father sits on the throne, said, behold, I make all things new. And the Father said unto John, write, for these things are true and faithful. And Jehovah said unto John, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give to him that is athirst of the fountain of the water for life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. This is the Father speaking to John. The Father is Alpha and Omega. But the fearful, unbelieving, the abominable, and the murderers, and the whoremongers, and the sorcerers, and the idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. And there came unto me one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, the seven last plagues. He talked with me, saying, come here, and I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. So is the church the Lamb's wife? Hold on. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending. Here we have descending again. It's coming down to earth. Where is it going to sit? It's going to sit at the city of David, East Jerusalem, where the Secretary of General and the whole Christian world is trying to take away, is trying to remove, is trying to block the door to the kingdom, is trying to stop. Revelation 10 and verse 7. And in so doing, they have run afoul of the curse as written in Revelation 22, verse 18 and 19. And having the glory of Jehovah, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, and like jasper stone, clear as crystal. And it had a great and high wall, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the church. Is that what it says? I don't see the names of the church. Do you? The names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And on the east 3 gates, the north 3 gates, the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And on the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Now, take a look at this. And he talked with me. He that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gate thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lies 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. Now, I've tried to calculate 12,000 furlongs, and the best that I could come up with was 1,500 miles square. And that would explain why there was no Mediterranean Sea, at least for from 750 miles from dead center. If you were to get out your map and start doing some topography, you will see that indeed a whole bunch, perhaps even half the Mediterranean Sea, would be eliminated by the measurement of this great city, where all Israel will be inside that city rather than the city being inside of the land of Israel. You see, which is why you have 12 gates, each of the 12 tribes of Israel, you see. So, we have a problem here, folks, in mainstream Christianity. The rejection of the truth, as written in Revelation 10 and verse 7, has led to Christianity fighting against salvation, fighting against the Messiah, and reaping the 7 last plagues, as written by John in Revelation 22, verses 18 and 19. I do not take pleasure in having to report this. My mind is boggled by the lack of understanding, by the rejection of the truth. It just boggles my mind. But I'm here to tell you the truth, to show you the truth, to expose the truth. The opposite of what mainstream Christianity doing, they are trying to hide the truth. And you should embrace the truth no matter what the cost is, folks. And the reason is written by Paul. Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness, these people follow this man at the Vatican and all his lies. Even people who call the man at the Vatican, Satan himself, still follow his ways. It's amazing to me. All deceivable of unrighteousness and then that perish, because they received not the love of the truth. They don't love the truth. In fact, prefer Christmas and bunnies laying eggs. And when you believe that bunnies lay eggs, you will also believe that a man can be a woman or a woman can be a man, you see. For this cause shall Jehovah or receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So the truth is going to save you, folks, if you embrace the truth. But you have to embrace the truth in order to be saved. And for this cause Jehovah shall send them strong delusion. Yes. Bunnies laying Easter eggs is a delusion that is taught from early childhood, that they should believe the lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. It's up to you, folks. So take a warning. Be watchful. The next few days, one way or another, is surely going to tell a story.